Great question. If you're the scapegoat, how do you heal from all the damage caused in your family? There were two very important things I needed to understand before I could effectively start healing from this. The first thing is, as the scapegoat, we are conditioned and wired to believe that everything is our fault, that we are to blame, and that it is our responsibility to fix it. And often the scapegoat thinks that fixing it means we're healing the damage. And second, we've been wired and conditioned not only to handle, but to accept very high levels of mistreatment and even abuse just to maintain connection, just for approval. And it's not even that we want them to stop blaming us, it's that we hope that they will someday treat us better, that they will see us as a lovable, worthy human being. And if we can do this, then we've healed. But this is not the path to healing. In fact, that keeps you stuck in the scapegoat role, believing that everything is your fault and that it's your responsibility to fix it. Once you understand those two things, then you can start the healing. The very first place a scapegoat needs to go is to a proper trauma therapist that understands the narcissistic family and childhood trauma, CPTSD, and the effects. It is so important to get the validation you are never going to get from this family that it is not your fault. You are not the problem. Children with CPTSD internalize that the reason we're being treated this way is because there's something deeply wrong with us, which is why we continue to try to fix it and heal it, because if we can do that, then we're lovable and worthy. In EMDR therapy, you can actually process specific traumas and some of those poor core beliefs. That is one of the number one places I started to truly believe that it wasn't me that was the problem, nor was it my responsibility to fix it. I started to understand that it was a them problem. And what I mean by that is that the only person I can control and that I am responsible for is me. I am not responsible or to be blamed for the behavior and choices of the people in my family. And that is the entire point of the scapegoat. The narcissist needs someone to blame so that they can avoid accountability. In addition to EMDR, DBT is basically my religion. Dialectical behavior therapy is the balance between acceptance and change. Understanding the things that we can change versus the things that we need to accept about who we are. Part of this is radical acceptance. That is accepting things in the present moment without judgment. If we try to change things that have already happened or predict the future or control other people, it adds to our suffering. Once the scapegoat understands that it is not our responsibility, that we're not to blame, and that we actually deserve more than mistreatment and abuse just to maintain connection, is when we make a very difficult decision. Do you continue to have contact with this family? I am low contact, knowing that you will not change the way that they are. It is very unlikely, unless one of them or all of them come out and say, gosh, we have a lot of problems. I think we need to go to therapy, and you see some semblance of accountability. It is you that is going to have to change your behavior and learn how to manage your own reactions, including what you engage in. The narcissistic parent loves to provoke you and engage in conflict. I've had to learn to recognize when someone is trying to engage me in an emotional conversation that is going to lead to a reaction. Because if the narcissistic parent or someone in the family gets a reaction, then they're able to place the blame on you. So it's disengaging from those conversations, whether it's dropping the rope or using something like gray rock. But if this feels like too much work, then often the scapegoat goes no contact. You will never hear me tell somebody that they should go no contact, because I believe that is a deeply personal decision, especially where your family is concerned. People ask me what happens if the scapegoat goes no contact. A few different things can happen. The first thing is the narcissist just finds a new scapegoat, whether it be the spouse of one of the children or sometimes, sadly, even one of the grandkids. The second thing is the scapegoat role doesn't change. They continue to blame you from afar. Everything that is going on in the family, even if you're nowhere to be found, is somehow your fault. And finally, the last thing that can happen is the family effectively falls apart. The narcissistic parent might go through some kind of collapse. This is probably what most scapegoats hope for, though it doesn't always happen. This is sometimes where you can see other children or the spouse start to realize that the narcissist is the problem, and there can be no contact or separation and divorce. I would know because I have seen this happen. But to heal, you start at the beginning, understanding it is not your responsibility to fix it in order to heal. It is not your fault. You are not to blame. And you do not need to accept high levels of mistreatment or abuse just to maintain connection and just to be treated better. You deserve love and belonging. Your needs and wants and feelings matter. Remember that.